Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Parallax Abstraction, and welcome to another episode of Retro Flashback, showcasing gaming's roots for a new generation. So, we're looking at another really good TurboGrafx-16 game today. I was actually kind of surprised. At this point, the number of views and interest that I got on my previous video, which was Victory Run for the TurboGrafx-16, the first TurboGrafx-16 video featured on the show, I'm a little shocked. The views were very low compared to a lot of other games that I've done. I don't know if that's just because that video didn't catch on for some reason, or if it's because people just don't seem to be that interested in the TurboGrafx. That'd be a damn shame if that's the case, because I really think this was an amazing system that more people should know about. I'm still going to do TurboGrafx videos for sure, but I wanted to test the waters and see if I got a similar response on this video, because if that's the case, then I probably won't do as many videos for that system, at least not as frequently, but I definitely still want to. So we're going to try another one out here. But yeah, what we're going to be taking a look at today is the first shoot 'em up, or as I call them, as many other people call them, shmup titles for the TurboGrafx, called Blazing Lazers. This was developed in 1989 by Hudson Soft in uncredited collaboration with Compile, which is a company that has made a number of very good shmups and other games over the years as well. And I really like this game because I'm a huge shmup guy. I suck at them. I mean, compared to some of these, freakish ninjas that you see out there who play shmups at more of a competitive championship level, I am nothing whatsoever. But I actually, when I'm not failing horribly here, I actually really like this game because while it is a very good high production value shmup, it is also fairly accessible and fairly easy to get into. It's actually a pretty easy game, at least initially, as shmups go. You can make a lot of progress in this game very quickly, and without necessarily being super skilled at it. So it's a good thing to cut your teeth on, but it's really fun in its own right, and it can definitely get challenging. I mean, shmups without challenge are, there's kind of no real point to them in that case. So as you can see here, I am getting weapons like you would not believe. There theoretically is a loose narrative tie with this game, I guess. It is tied slightly into the story of a Japanese film called Gunhead that I have never heard of. Apparently that is actually only referenced in the Japanese version of this game. The US version, which is obviously what I'm playing here, makes no mention of that. I mean, I'm not a big anime guy. I'm not that big into Japanese cinema, so I really have no idea what Gunhead is. Maybe it's really cool, maybe it's not, I don't know, but I guess that was kind of the original narrative tie to this game. But other than that, there is no story in this game whatsoever. And, some shmups have stories. They're usually pretty ridiculous and really pointless for the most part. This doesn't do that. This game is just, you know what, you're a spaceship, here's a bunch of crap to shoot, and you get points for it. Enjoy. And that's kind of all there really is to it. And that's really all you need. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have nothing whatsoever against story in games, but shmups just don't need it. They really don't. You don't need a narrative conceit to be shooting stuff in crazy and unique ways. So as you can see here, that this is a pretty straightforward shmup through and through. It doesn't really have a lot of unique mechanics or gimmicks to it. It's pretty much, you're going through a level, it will throw predetermined patterns of enemies at you, and a lot of those enemies will drop upgrades, whether it be weapons, options, which was the little thing you saw flying around me before. As you can see, that was a pretty easy first boss, because I already beat him. The option thing that was flying around before, missile upgrades, all sorts of other things like that. And everyone will sort of have their own preference on what weapons works best for them. That's kind of one of the things I like about shmups, is that the really well-designed ones allow you to sort of customize your experience. They'll have a lot of weapons that have a lot of very different effects to them and various different combinations of things they can do. And you're encouraged to try them all out and sort of stick with the one that best suits your purposes. which is really cool. So I'm just sort of picking up everything under the sun here so that you can see sort of the various options that are available in Blazing Lasers. It is kind of funny because the game is called Blazing Lasers, but some of the weapons you pick up are really not all that laser-like. I guess it depends how broadly you want to define the term laser. But you'll see here that I'm picking up just a whole pile of different things. And some games will have... Some shmup games will have just weapon upgrades, others will have additional capabilities as well, like shields for your ship, or speed upgrades that allow you to move much more quickly and much more nimbly. And yeah, you kind of choose what you want, and however you think it's going to play best for you, and you use that to get your way through the level. Oh man, screwed that one up here. So as you can see, some shmups when you die will... This is where one thing where Blazing Lasers does get a little bit challenging, is that some shmups when you die will just sort of respawn you exactly where you left off, and you just sort of pick up and move on again. And you just keep going till you run out of lives, and that's that. Blazing Lasers takes an approach much like R-Type does, which is another very classic shmup that actually does have a TurboGrafx-16 version that's quite good. When you die, it checkpoints you back a ways, so it'll make you back up and go through an area you've already gone through. And as you saw, you go back to your default weapons. You don't retain your weapons. You do obviously retain your score, so anything that you had accumulated up to that point, you get to maintain. But that can make things a little tricky, and that's where some of this game's challenge does come from, is the fact that the game may not punish you and try to kill you with great frequency, but when it does kill you, the punishment can be rather severe, especially in the later levels, when it makes you go back quite a ways and fight through perhaps several really, really difficult battles. But this is really, really tight. It plays well. It's running at a solid 60 frames a second. There are very few instances of slowdown in this game. The controls are very, very responsive. I mean, I'm playing right now, this is the Wii Virtual Console version. I am playing with just actually, I don't even have my Pro Controller hooked up. I'm just playing with a Wii Remote turned sideways, which you can do with Turbo games, which is really, really nice. And it's, the Wii Remote, at least the ones I have a launch era Wii Remote, so maybe this is just a problem with ones from this era, but I have, bugger. But I have always found the Wii Remotes, at least my Wii Remotes, to have just a little bit of a lag to them, which is really friggin' annoying in games that require a lot of twitch controls. But in this game, it's not really a problem, because the controls are just so tight in this game that it really feels like there's no delay and that it's really listening to what you're asking it to do. So this is critical in shmup games, because there are few things more frustrating than a game that when you die will instantly have you going, was that my fault, or was I screwed either by the game not doing something right or something with the system not doing what it was supposed to. And you never really get that feeling in Blazing Lasers. In Blazing Lasers, when you die, you really go, yeah, okay, it's because I screwed up. I just wasn't good enough at handling this. And that's the way it should be in games like this. If there's ever any doubt in your mind when you're playing a shmup as to what killed you, then the game is not doing its job very well. At least I'm getting lots of... And that's the thing, this game also hands out extra lives fairly liberally, which a lot of other shmups don't. If they hand out any at all, they usually require very, very high score targets. You basically have to be good enough at the game that you won't need to be handed a lot of extra lives. So as you see, though, you've got to really stay on top of stuff. If you let things get away from you, the game will dogpile you very, very quickly. And it can really cause a bit of bedlam going on here. It can make things a little difficult for you. Alright, there we go. But I really, really like this game. It is not a super hard shmup. It is definitely very accessible. But it's a good one to start off on, and for an early TurboGrafx game, it actually plays very, very well, and I quite enjoy it. Now, right there, as you saw, that is a secondary weapon that actually, because I was commentating and not paying attention, I actually wasn't using enough, and that could have helped me out there before. So the way a lot of shmups do it is you have your sort of main gun that you fire, and then you have what are usually referred to as bombs, and those are weapons that are sort of instant screen clearing, will pretty much wreck anything instantly that isn't a boss. And those are designed for when you get yourself really in just a kind of a tight situation where you're like, oh geez, I don't think I can get out of here really quick, and I want to lose one of these bombs and save my life. So you mash that button and the screen just clears out for you. The way you're usually punished for that in most shmups is that at the end of a level, when bonuses are being handed out, you usually are given a significant extra bonus for bombs that went unused. And that's sort of how you're encouraged to only use them in the worst, in the hairiest of situations. The way bombs work in this game are a little different. It's just it is an area of effect weapon, as you can see there, but it doesn't clear the screen. It actually requires you to target it, and it only has a limited area that it affects. So it's definitely very helpful, but it's not going to instantly save your bacon if you get yourself screwed. But it's a neat way to handle that idea, and I quite like it. And you see, the way it compensates for that is that it may not clear the screen, but you get a ton of them. You can see there in the bottom right under my life counter, that's my bomb counter. So you see you get quite a few. And you can't necessarily rapid-fire spam them out because you can only have one sort of in play at a given moment. But it does a fair amount of damage, and as soon as that one clears, you can mash again. So you can still do it fairly rapidly if you like. And it's a neat take on the whole bomb idea. So I can usually get pretty far in this game on one life, actually. I always give the caveat, and you can believe it or not, but I always give the caveat that, I'm recording, I'm commentating over this, and I don't multitask very, very well, and doing two things like that at once usually impacts how much attention I can devote to the game. So I'm definitely not doing as well at this as I could be. I tend to do pretty well at this game, and believe me, I am not a very good shmup player, and that's why I say this is a good title from an accessibility perspective. Is that even if you're like me and you love shmups, but you just don't have the time and or reflexes to get really, really good at them, you can have a lot of fun with this one. The game will challenge you without feeling like it's just punishing you for the sake of it, which a lot of shmups, particularly what are known as bullet hell shmups, will do. They will just beat on you and expect you to smile while it happens. But this one is a little easier to get into, and you can very easily refine your play style to get better at it and to do a little bit better. So you see, you do have continues as well. Does have a high score counter. Like, the one problem that most TurboGrafx games did have was that it did not... they didn't have any sort of save stating on them for the most part, so the high score will not be saved if you reset the game. Of course, if you're playing on the Wii Virtual Console, it does retain an automatic save state for you, so as long as you don't either delete that data or tell the Wii to actually do a proper reset on the game, your high score will actually be maintained, which is a little bit of a nice way to sort of keep a record for yourself to beat without having to actually physically write it down somewhere. That's always handy. And as you can see, I did use one of my continues there. The continues do not resume you at the last checkpoint. They require you to start the entire level or area over again that you're in. That's a fairly common thing as well, and I think that's a good thing in this game, because it's like, listen, if you die, we're going to take you back to a checkpoint so you can go back a little bit, but if you totally bomb this the whole way through, then too bad, we're going to make you actually start the whole level over again, and that's your punishment. Get better. And I think that's a very fair way to do it. So this is there were a few shmups on the TurboGrafx, definitely not as many as I would have liked. This genre tended to proliferate more on some systems than others. And the TurboGrafx definitely got a few of them. As I said, there is also a very good version of the original R-Type available for the TurboGrafx. I will talk about R-Type one day. Now that game is significantly harder than this one. But it is also, I mean, it's a classic. R-Type and the series of R-Type is sort of unmatched in the shmup genre. And this takes a few lessons from that, mostly with regards to checkpointing and such. This is a vertical shmup, or as some people like to call it, an up-downly shmup, as opposed to a horizontal or left-rightly shmup, which is what the R-Type games are. But it's a good one. It's slower paced. It's not manic, but it's also still actiony and still enjoyable. It doesn't require you to have crazy twitch rabbit-like reflexes, and it's accessible, but it will also challenge you if you want it to. So yeah, that is Blazing Lazers, published by NEC and co-developed by Hudson Soft and Compile uncredited in 1989 for the PC Engine and TurboGrafx-16. If you want to get your hands on this game, it is available currently on the Wii Virtual Console system. There is also a version on PlayStation Network, but I believe that's only in Japan, unfortunately. Not sure why that didn't come out here. That would have been a good thing. And this is kind of a one-off, unfortunately. This did not become a franchise, and though the people involved in it have been involved in a number of other very good games, both shmup and non-shmup, this is kind of the only Blazing Lazers game there is, which is a little bit of a shame because it's a good series. But I think if you want to try your hand at shmups, which are a lot of fun, this is a good way to do it, and it is one of the better TurboGrafx games. So if you're trying to get into that, you can check that out as well. My name has been Parallax Abstraction. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.